18 years ago, a tower suddenly appeared. Not far from the tower, a spatial portal opened up. From this portal, monsters began to appear in huge numbers. A small group of people with superhuman abilities have also emerged. These people became the hope of humanity and acted as a new force. In the realities of a new world, players have become a symbol of wealth and an object of envy. It was different for our hero. The young man showed up at the guild office with boxes in his hands. The office staff member noticed that the young man had already arrived and asked him to put food on the table. The guy smiled, apologized for being late, set down the boxes, and wished me a pleasant appetite. On the way, he saw a huge billboard with a picture of the player, another hero with unique abilities. This player seemed to have cheater advantages. He was out of reach of the others. This was the most outstanding of all superhumans who had been compared to a monster. The driver of the car behind honked and told the young man to pass. The light was already green. The boy apologized. Late one night, after work, the young man drove up to his house. There was a stack of letters sticking out of the mailbox. He hoped they weren't notices about loans and medical bills. The young man went home and announced his return. His sister rejoiced and asked, "You must have done a good job." The boy wondered why the sister was still awake. She replied that she was doing her homework. The young man looked into his mother's room and made sure she was asleep. His sister said that his mother had just fallen asleep and was sleeping better than usual. The young man turned around and saw his smiling sister with a cake in her hands. Candles in the shape of the number 18 were burning on the cake. The sister wished her brother a happy birthday. The young man asked where his sister got the money for the cake. Had she spent the money he had given her on clothes? The girl replied that she had her own money, too. If her brother wouldn't eat, she would eat the whole cake herself. She added that she loved chocolate cake. The hero realized that the cake was bought in a famous store. The young man thought that thanks to his sister, he would at least be able to eat cake on his birthday. The girl told him to read the letter first. The boy agreed and picked up the envelope. His eyes rounded when he saw the contents. It was a letter from the Players Association. Our hero couldn't believe he was recognized as a player. What a gift. The sister explained that she wanted to surprise him, and so she took the letter out of the mailbox. The guy was accepting congratulations and thought it had all worked out. Now he could make a difference in his family's life. The young man looked into his sleeping mother's room again and thought he needed to find that very thing. The next morning, he was standing in front of the entrance to the Players Association building. The young man decided that now was not the time to give into his emotions. This was just the beginning. At the entrance, player Kim was greeted and congratulated. The girl explained that if he said information window, information about the player would appear. Kim GQ repeated it and the window did appear. She congratulated the hero and said he had unique abilities though not yet revealed. Kim EQ upon hearing this began to tremble with excitement and the girl continued to congratulate him loudly. The manager told the young man to calm down. His coach would be here soon to explain everything. Looking around, the girl saw the player. Was it really Yak Woo? Yuzi Yak Woo stated that he would like to guide the newcomer. He added that he overheard the conversation by accident. It's amazing, a rookie with unique abilities. The manager responded that the rules say you can't escort without a coach, but her authority is enough to make sure there is no problem. Our hero and Yusuk Woo approached the spatial portal. Kimika couldn't stop being amazed. Yusuk Woo motioned for him to come in and assured him that there was no need to worry. Once on the other side of the portal, Kimika wondered, are there always so many monsters on the first floor? Yusuk Woo said that sometimes there is a glitch in time and monsters accumulate. It's the first time he's seen it himself. Kim asked fearfully, isn't that a big problem? Yuzi Woo replied that it was even better because it would be easier to explain. He asked if Kim knew about the 100 Goblins test. The results of the test were considered reliable, but it was banned because of its danger. The test was meant for players below level 10 to reveal their abilities. The point is to destroy 100 goblins without using skills in a limited time. If a player manages in 5 hours, he is considered advanced. If the task is completed in 3 hours, it is a rank level player. And if you can handle it in an hour, it's safe to say that the player has high ranking abilities. Finally, the time limit for the unique ability holder is 10 minutes. Yak Woo acted decisively and professionally, leaving the goblins no chance. Kimik thought that Yusak Woo was simply amazing. He managed it in 47 seconds. Kim Giku wondered if a high-ranked player needed an hour and was only given 10 minutes. Yusik Woo said that what ordinary players take years to achieve, those with unique abilities can master in a few months. So high is their growth rate that their potential is beyond imagination. Yusak Woo asked our hero if he knew Angela's guild. Kim replied that he did. There was a very young rancher in that guild. Most of the guild members passed the goblin test in less than 3 hours, but he plans to create a guild far superior to Angel's guild. Yusak Woo remarked that he needed capable players for this endeavor. especially those with unique abilities. He expressed his hope that Kim Giku will go beyond himself more than once, and one day they will meet again in the tower. Yak Wu said that he had talked a lot, but now he was offering his companion to start the first hunt. Our hero went one-on-one with the armed goblin. The goblin roared loudly. Yusuk Wu advised Kim Geek to tense his legs and back. He should try to pull out the goblin's axe with his gaze. Kim Gyuj was dead serious. He decided that he would try to change his life. 5 years had passed. The young man approached the man with his bag to him. The warrior turned around and apologized for being late. The man said that thanks to the young man, he had seen something funny. The young man, tired after the sword battle, dropped to one knee. A young man who was late noticed that this guy was quite out of breath. Was this really the same challenge, the return, that had become popular again? It would be hard to destroy 100 goblins. The man agreed. He thought so too. The tired boy activated the information window. He received an invitation from the tower at the age of 18. Plus, he turns out to be the chosen one with unique abilities. But even after 5 years, he spends an hour to destroy at least one goblin. Who knew there were players like that? And he's still level 1. The instructor said, "Well done, everyone. Well done," including the guide. Everyone present had increased their level. Goblins were now no longer a challenge for them. The young man agreed to go up to the second floor the next day and meet in the morning at the entrance. Seeing off our hero with a look, the young man asked, "Is this guy really so famous?" A colleague confirmed, "It's famous. A lot of people have heard about it. There are various rumors about his fame. They say he has unique abilities, although it's probably just a rumor. If that were true, he definitely wouldn't be here. They also say that he is the first from the bottom among all players." My colleague was surprised. Is there really a ranking at the bottom, too? This guy isn't even a ranker. He has a nickname among players. The player who can't level up. In a remote corner of the first floor, where other players rarely look in, Kim spends the most time. It's a secret place. Only one goblin shows up here every day. Even if you give him a quick strike before he notices anyone, it's still not going to be an easy hunt. Kim Giku drew his sword as he often does and began to slowly approach the goblin from behind. The goblin sensed the approach and turned around to block the attack. A clash ensued. Kimika thought that the battle would still be hard. Players Association. A young man walked out of the guide department. "If we sell the extracted crystal, we'll make 20,000. But if you deduct the cost of the potion, there would be no profit." Kimika met Theo and asked if he had finished his work. Our hero noticed that Theo was working late. Theo apologized, turned around, and left. Kim Giku approached the general manager of the guide department, Odik, and asked what happened to Theo. Odik said hello to the young man. The manager said that the guests he worked with today would be practicing with Theo starting tomorrow. Kimika wondered what was wrong. Everything was fine. Odik suggested that they had heard a rumor. Kimiki was upset. Did it have anything to do with his job as a guide? He wondered if Angela's guild had reached the 75th floor. Odishik confirmed. They had declared that they would conquer this floor, which had remained untouched until now. Tomorrow morning at the gates of the capital city, a ceremony is planned to send the squad off. Kim Geki was surprised that they would be ordinary people who had never gone near the tower. However, people everywhere were talking about the players. Ode Shik said that the players were kind of idle. Kimik thought that the gate could open anywhere and anyone could become a player. The following news has surfaced. A Rank S gate has opened in the United States. The American government plans to ask for help from a friendly country, promising participants a decent reward. Kim felt like a real player, but this world was still far away from him. He picked up the remote control and turned off the TV. Odik wondered why the young man did it. After all, he was watching. The manager gave the young man a bag of money and said that he had done a good job today. That was his payment. He added that Theo looked cold, but he really felt guilty, so he shouldn't be offended. Kim Gyuj said it wasn't his fault, and there was no need to apologize for it. Odishik told Kim Giku to come in early tomorrow to take a shift. Department head Pnikov added that there has been one request for Kim Geek. The young man said hello. The young man introduced himself. His name was Kim Sunil. Kim Gu and LT. Unk and GT. S-Guide also introduced himself. Kim Pil said that he had already heard about him from Sayak Wu. He added that he was that player's cousin. Kim introduced the team members. The young people were happy to meet each other. The guide reminded the team that they needed to get to the training floor in 5 days. Starting today, Kimk expressed his confidence that everyone present had already spent enough time preparing. He will explain the rest along the way. Toward the end of the training day, Kim Geku told the participants that he would prepare a halt. One of the participants wanted to help, but the guide replied that he could do it himself. Kim Guy was preparing a delicious dinner for the team. Yin Jae Wan came closer and asked if it was true that the guide's level didn't increase. Kimika nodded and confirmed that it was true. He added that he was willing to answer other questions as well. The guide asked the crew what they could tell us about today's hunt. The young man admitted that it was difficult. Some got minor wounds and scratches, but everything is cured with potions. Kim Geek explained that the goblins on the first floor had weak weapons and their movements were too noticeable. It could be considered a warm-up before the real battles. You need to keep going, always be alert, and level up. Then everything will work out. The guide added that the most important thing was not to meet the Guardian. The Guardian is a patron spirit present on every floor. It is a boss monster that is usually hunted by guilds or large squads. In other words, the Guardian is a powerful monster guarding the gate. Kim added that you can get a lot of experience and valuable items for defeating him, but he is very dangerous. Low-level players can't handle it alone. The guide smiled and said not to be too afraid. They were under surveillance, and there were guilds that specialized in hunting guardians. The guardians of the lower floors can be quickly eliminated. Sometimes they're even hard to encounter. Fourth floor of the tower, forest border zone. A lone monster ran through the forest, looking around fearfully. Stumbling, the monster fell down and turned around to see another monster. The huge monster easily dispatched him and ate him. Training. Day 2. The second floor of the tower. The orc was already waiting for the squad. The guide was even a little afraid. However, the orc moved slower than the goblins, and it was not so difficult to deal with him. Day 3. Third floor. A crowd of goblins and orcs appeared. They couldn't be allies, but the guide's idea to make them fight over a stone was brilliant. It was a safe way to level up. Now, I can see why Syak Wu is so insistent on recommending Kimiko. Kim Geku approached one of the participants and asked what he was doing. The young man replied that he was writing a diary. He had been writing every day since he received the invitation. He added that if one day he became a ranker, he could write in the evening. The young men sat around the fire, each doing his own thing. We had one more day to go, and the next test would be the 5th floor. Everyone was eager to get to know their class. Guide Kimiko looked up at the night sky and thought of the 5th floor as well. There are also orcs and goblins on the 4th floor. They're a little faster and stronger. The guide suggested using the same trick as the day before. Suddenly, one of the participants cried out in fear. The squad was attacked by monsters. All the members began to repel the attack. Kim Giku stood a little to the side and watched the group's actions. He had to assess everyone. The guide noticed that the wind had picked up with dust. Is today the day of the Guardian's appearance? Sudden? He thought. This was a bad sign. Kim Geku shouted for everyone to head for cover immediately. We need to finish off the monsters quickly. During his years as a guide, he realized one truth. Real learning is not a game. One of the contestants, Juwin, had no way of dealing with his opponent. The slightest mistake could turn into a tragedy, up to the death of the entire team. And my misgivings were correct. The Guardian had indeed appeared. Kimiko shouted for everyone to prepare to retreat. There was no time to think. The wounded had to be evacuated to a safe area immediately. The guide activated the smoke screen and decided to seize the moment. He needed to get away from the Guardian. He told the participants to keep up and follow him strictly. He knew a place to hide. There was a cave along the squad's route. Once inside, Kim Geku decided to set up a halt. The squad needed a rest. When questioned by the startled participants, he replied that it was the Guardian of the 4th floor. Why he appeared so early is unknown. We'll have to keep an eye on the situation. Thankfully, there were plenty of supplies. One of the participants told the guide that Hananiel was not coming around. The girl was wounded and poisoned with goblin poison. Kim rummaged through his backpack and said that there was no need to worry. With the antidote, she would recover quickly. Unfortunately, there was no antidote in his backpack. The young man remembered how he had packed in a hurry. As much as he was in a hurry, how could he make such an elementary mistake? The important thing now was to calm down. The guide told the participants that he would ask for help and would be back soon and that everyone should stay where they were. Those present were frightened and began to say that it could be dangerous. Kim Guy replied that there was no need to worry. He had been to this training floor many times and knew everything about it. All he had to do was climb the hill and signal that they needed help. Kim Geek was the world's first among the first-level players. These were the words he said to the group members. After climbing out of the cave, he watched the monster from behind a rock. Because of the keeper, the direction of the monster's movement has changed, and it is now impossible to predict their location. Kim Giku in the shelter thought he should try another way. There was no room for error. There was only one smoke shell left. The protagonist expected to reach the hill in 3 minutes at his current speed. We need to fire the flash quickly and return to the cave. Kimiko moved towards the hill and hoped not to encounter the keeper. However, the Guardian was already in close proximity to the hero. The huge monster struck a sudden blow and the protagonist flew far to the side. The hero managed to apply a smoke screen, but was in a state of disorientation. The monster was advancing towards the man through the smoke. Kimiko rose to his feet, stretched his arm up, and prepared for the signal shot. He thought he wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. First, you have to get as far away as possible. He must remain calm, for no one knows this place better than he does. There must be a way to escape. Kimiko raised his head and saw the door leading to the 5th exam floor in front of him. The hero would like to rush in without thinking about anything. However, Kimiko could not do so because of his family. After all, on the 5th floor with his first level, his doom would surely await him. What to do? Kimmy closed his eyes and leaned against the door. How did he end up here? The hero realized that even with level 4, getting to the 5th floor was difficult. It's just an escape to nowhere. Kimiko felt the guardian approaching behind him. The monster waved his sword and growled menacingly. Kimiko realized he had a choice. Guaranteed death or possible death. He shouted loudly and decided to check what was waiting for him behind the door. The young man crossed the threshold. The system reported the player has entered the first examination room. Data check is in progress. All conditions have been met. The system reported that an untested ability had been detected. Kim Ji-kyu was lying on a large green lawn. The conditions for advancing through the 5th floor had been met. Kim Ji-kyu pulled himself up and activated the system. The difficulty level was lowered significantly. The first test appeared GOAT. Without much effort, the hero passed the test. The player had incredible abilities. The protagonist could not believe it. Previously, he had been sure he would die upon entering. Kim looked at the destroyed goat and couldn't believe it. Was that it? It was only a goat. The system reported that the sweep was perfect and the quality of the reward would be improved. Suddenly, the young man felt a dark energy around him. A voice asked, "Who is he?" Everything around him went dark. Kimiko turned his head and couldn't see where he was. The voice asked in surprise, "Is it really his master?" Kim Gi-kyu was amazed. Is he really hearing the boy's voice? Who is calling him master? The child's voice asked in surprise, "Is this dummy his master?" The voice said it had been waiting for a very long time and suggested that the host choose a name for it. A connection must be established. The ego requested that a connection be established. Need to choose a name for the ego. The young man opened his eyes and saw a man and a girl in front of him. People rushed toward him. It was his sister and OD sick. The protagonist was found 2 weeks ago unconscious on the 5th floor. D-sick told me what happened. The guild players noticed the flash at the entrance to the floor, saw the enraged guardian and cornered him, but he managed to escape. The hero began to worry about the escaped keeper. However, he was reassured when he heard that Mr. Sung Pil and the entire crew had been rescued. Talking to his mom on the phone, the hero said he needed to take some more tests and then he would be discharged. Kim-ji asked his mom not to worry. The insurance covered the expenses. He knows that health is the most important thing. Kim Gi-kyu told his sister not to come anymore and to look after Mama home. He will call her himself and tell her the exact date of discharge. He thought he had passed the 5th floor, though he had expected quite the opposite. The hero's level was still first. A glowing snake-shaped ring appeared on the young man's finger. After being discharged, the hero returned to the guild, but now had a different attitude. Nothing had changed in the guild. The members were still being trained for battles with monsters. Everyone turned around and looked at Kimik. He was still famous. The hero walked to the door leading to the upper floor without turning around. The players wondered what this Kimik was so famous for. What were the rumors about him? Is he the guide who can't raise his level? One attendee said, "Those rumors are outdated. There's now another reason for his popularity. He is now known as the one who destroyed Tutorial." The protagonist went one-on-one with a group of monsters. Our hero drew his unique sword and prepared to fend off the oncoming orcs and goblins. The monsters were bloodthirsty. However, this did not scare Kim Geek in the slightest. Going back, our hero remembered a child's voice suggesting that he choose a name. Kim Geku said that he would be called Lu. The voice replied that he liked it. Kim Geku thought that not long ago he trembled at the sight of orcs. However, now, after battling monsters, our hero's collecting all these crystals. Lu was always by his master's side and supported him. They also held the same views. A month before, our hero had checked the information in the system and thought that it really wasn't a dream. He was right to come to the tower right after the hospital. My sister was against it then. She said her brother almost died. Where was he going again? He didn't want to go home because Yu Yun would scold him. For the first time in 5 years, there was a change in the information window, and our hero couldn't just sit there. Kim Giku pondered. How should one connect with this ego? Our hero had forgotten. He was too excited and did not remember how to make contact with him. Kim Geek was very upset. How would he use it? He had definitely given that voice a name. That's right. It was named Lu. The system reported that Lu's disembodied ego had been summoned. Kim Ge thought he had succeeded in summoning. However, Lu did not have a form yet. Due to the player's lack of skill, Lu's form will be randomly selected. To create the outer form, Lu absorbed materials haphazardly. Kimiko wondered, what does this mean? Everything in the immediate vicinity was absorbed by the hovering sphere. There was no way to stop this process. Kimiko was left with virtually no clothes. All he could hold on to was his underwear. After absorbing a sufficient number of items and increasing in size considerably, the sphere stopped the process. From the side, a powerful and bright stream of light could be seen being directed from the forest vertically into the sky. As the light dissipated, the protagonist saw a sword floating in the air in front of him. Kimiko asked the sword just in case, "Is he the Lu?" The sword confirmed this assumption with the same childish voice. Though it was all before our hero's eyes, he refused to believe what was happening. Kimiko asked what it was. "Is it something like a soul?" Lu replied, that was an incorrect assumption. Lu replied that he didn't know himself and warned Kimiko not to touch him in vain. Kimiko inquired if the sword could move on its own. Lu replied that he couldn't do it yet, but he would probably be able to do it later. Kimiko asked if Lu could break the connection and change host himself. Kimiko said that only the master has a choice. The ego can't do that. Kimiko asked if Lu could hurt him when he was moving around on his own. Lu replied that he could attack, but if the person dies, the ego associated with the person will also die, so this is impossible in practice. Kimiko asked another question. Does the ego feel pain? Lu replied that he felt pain. Lu added that he is a perfect ego, so he has all the emotions, and if you tune it right, the feelings will also appear. Kim Geku attacked the monster with that sword. The system reported that Lu absorbed the blood of the orc. Lu gained experience points and increased his level. Kim Geku said that if you think about it, Lu has been wandering for a long time. Lu told the host that he was ashamed to remember it. He still thinks about those times. Lu added that he was very happy that his master had such a good aura. Kimiko said that the backpack was already full and there were enough crystals for today. Lu said that he really liked it here. Our hero suggested that next time we should not go to the tower, but to the gate. Odishik said that they shouldn't go beyond the gate yet because 4 rankers from America had died there recently. They thought it was an F-rank gate, but it turned out to be a C-rank gate. Disik added that the rescuers have been finding strange gates more and more often lately. This hadn't happened in 23 years. It had only started a month ago. The protagonist thought that it was just about a month ago that he had met Lu. Shik remarks that it's best to avoid this place while it's dangerous. He understands Kim Geek's feelings. He can use his unique abilities now, but he has to be patient. D6 said that the tutorial fighter had done well today. He could go home now. Clear crystals, especially items, are a reward for passing. You can earn more money behind the gate than in the tower. Kim Gekka thought Deke was stopping him, but he can't otherwise because of the credit debt. It's all the more unlikely that he'll run into a special gate. Our hero met with team leader Ha Sang-soo. Kim Giku said that he had called about this meeting earlier. Ho Zung-soo asked, "Is this the first time Kim Geku will be hunting for gate?" Our hero nodded affirmatively. Kim Geek added that he has studied a lot about strategy and other information. He is very theoretically savvy. The team leader showed a standardized contract. It specified the division of the spoils, fines, and so on. The meeting point is Giri Station. You must be there the day after tomorrow at 2 o'clock. You can't be late. Gates come in 2 varieties. Disposable gates, which disappear after a sweep, and continuous gates, which can be hunted over and over again. Unlike disposable gates, there is less reward in continuous gates. But the capture strategy is already known. So many people choose them because of the lower risks. The young men finished checking their gear and set off. Our hero glanced around at those walking ahead. They looked tense, as if they were uncomfortable. They must have come from the ad, just like him. The 2 walking behind were already familiar. A girl and a young man were having an animated conversation. Strange sounds came from the darkness. The man in front of me stopped and said that he had to wait a little longer. The sounds were growing. The archer said that they were coming and drew the bowstring. Out of the darkness, glittering with crazy eyes, a multitude of monsters appeared. The group commander gave the command, and the tank prepared for its duties. By putting the shield forward, the tank took the brunt of the blow. Aggressive monsters could not penetrate his armor. Lu told our hero that he was ready to destroy all the monsters. The archer would aptly hit targets with arrows charged with specific energy. The player squad acted coherently and professionally. The monsters were destroyed. After a fierce battle, there was a well-deserved res pit. The tank and the swordsman thanked our hero. Thanks to him, everything was over quickly. The swordsman said that it seemed as if Kim Geek had just gone for a walk, although he had previously said that he was only level 7. Our hero replied that he was just lucky and added that they were able to deal with the boss thanks to teamwork. Tank asked Kimiko to take him as a teammate when this mission was completed. Our hero looked at the archer and his companion. They didn't seem to care much about what was going on, but it was a bit rude to behave like that in front of the leader. The tank and the swordsman said they owed Mr. Kim GQ a debt of gratitude today. Our hero brushed off the thanks, but thought to himself that it was so. Archer rose to his feet and said it was time to move on. Kimgo asked Lu if he was ready. Ego replied that zombie blood is unpalatable. Our hero said to be patient for a bit. The boss room would be here soon. The squad had indeed reached the boss's room. Kimga thought that those huge iron bars were probably used to imprison the monster. Archer announced that he would tell everyone how they would attack the guardian of Talon's gate. The commander warned that it was a huge monster. Tank stated that everyone has already familiarized themselves with the basic information and there is no need to waste time. The commander insisted that everyone should listen to him anyway. Beyond the gate, a mistake by one could ruin the whole team. The commander repeated that he would start the explanation again. Our hero noticed something strange. First, with the help of the solution, you need to melt the iron bars and enter the boss's room. Next, climb on Talon's back. After a while, the squad overcame the barrier. The leader should then be the first to strike with the explosive arrow. So far, everything was going according to the developed scenario. The monster got angry and started swinging his fists. Tangong Zhonghun put up his shield and began to block the blows. At this point, the near and far fighters had to deal as much damage as possible. Swordsmen attacked the enraged monster from all sides. The damage was enormous. The most important moment had arrived. The boss shrank back, changing his tactics. At this moment, his defenses tripled, and the usual blows were no longer effective. It was Mr. Kim Geku's turn. With his high attack, he was able to do at least a little damage. Our hero began to fulfill his role. The degree of fusion with Lu has increased. Now his power can be used effectively. Our hero has destroyed the gatekeeper of Talon. The system reported that Kim GQ had received experience points. Everyone looked at the protagonist with admiration. Thanks to Talon's blood, Kim Gyu's characteristics increased. The player gained the skill cannibalism, the ability to regenerate strength by eating corpses. A delighted tank and swordsman ran up to the hero and asked for autographs and business cards. The commander reported that a piece of equipment, the paralyzing dagger, had been dropped as a reward. The swordsman remarked that they managed easily and still got the item. The contract required them to draw lots to divide the spoils. Song Bonghun patted our hero on the shoulder and asked if he wanted to keep the dagger. Tank added that Kimmy Q did everything by himself. He and Deo would organize everything and Kimk would just have to listen to them. He added that after this, the commander would not be able to ignore them. Quid pro quo. Our hero had thoughts, but he didn't expect a long-range gunner in a tank to behave like this. On the other hand, team leader Ha-Sang Soo and his companion must have been up to something too. The protagonist sensed that there was definitely something lurking behind this seeming calm. To draw lots, the leader said, pulling out the dice. Suddenly, the tank pulled out a dagger and lunged at Hong Soo while thrusting it forward. However, our hero managed to intercept Zhang Hun's arm and pushed him aside. Tank was surprised. Isn't Mr. Kim Geku in league with them? Our hero said that if Zhang Hun moved, he might die. The tank said it was a joke. He was just joking. Kim Geek thought, just a little more, and this man would definitely die. Only now did our hero see the dagger in the girl's hands, and the tank was indeed a hair away from destruction. Kim Geek thought that Ha-Sang Soo and his companion were real magicians. Not without reason, the squad leader didn't even flinch when the knife was pointed at him. On the contrary, he even looked at the blade. Kimiko asked the squad leader and his companion who they were. Ha-Sang Soo said that this is the same question he would like to ask Kim Geek. Deo said in a trembling voice that he was promised to be paid if he obeyed. He didn't know that Sun Bonghun was going to harm the commander. Hungo asked our hero why he was asking such a question. Kim Giku replied that the commander was a stakeholder. The commander turned to his companion Harem. The girl began to concentrate dark energy around her. In the same instant, Harem was beside Deo and dealt him a devastating blow. The tank also appeared to be disabled and lay on its shield. Kimga bent down to pick up the dagger lying on the ground and said that he would take it for himself. The commander was surprised. Why is that? Kimk replied that he saved Ha-Sang's life and thought he deserved that dagger. The squad leader remarked that it was an attraction. Our hero assumed that such an item meant nothing to the squad leader. Kimmy added that, judging by the kind of guard Ha-Sang Soo has, he's not an ordinary person. At that, our hero looked at Harem and added that he doesn't care about that. He doesn't want to know who the squad leader is. The protagonist added that Hong Soo can deal with these two on his own. He still needs to hunt around here. Lu told his master that Harem was dangerous. Lu was surprised. The host says that the two are dangerous. Yet, the item is taken away by having a chance to clash with them. Kim Geek remarked that he had saved the commander's life. Kim Giku said that he could now hunt to his heart's content. The protagonist has absorbed the physical strength of a zombie. He now feels as if he has a second heart. Lu reiterated that zombie blood is our hero said he's out in that case, especially since there are no more zombies and he has absorbed enough blood. Kim suggested that they go to the reward room for the last time. There was a gray space that could be moved using the corpse of the gatekeeper. This was the room where the rewards for attacking the gate are given out. Looking at the wall in the room, our hero asked Lu, "Was this really already here?" The ego replied that it had not been. Kim GQ tapped on the wall and said that it was empty inside. The guy activated his sword and offered it to him to break that wall. Lu replied that he didn't mind. Without thinking long, the protagonist struck the wall with his sword and shattered it. After the wall collapsed, there was a lot of dust. Our hero wondered what Lu was saying. Lu said that he felt that there was an ego here. Kim Giku looked forward with tension. Could there really be an ego in a place like this? Is ego such a common thing? Then what's he been doing all these 5 years? Lu said for the master to look for egos here. Kim EQ remarked that this gate is quite old, and he doubts that there is anything hidden left. Lu repeated that there's an ego here. When the smoke finally cleared, our hero saw a sword sticking out of a rock. Kim came closer and asked in surprise, "Is it really Excalibur?" Kimga thought that he just needed to grab it and wrapped his 2 hands around the sword. The sword asked the young man, "Is this his master?" The guy looked down at his hands and saw pure white space in front of him. It was similar to the moment when he met Lu, but the feeling was a little different. Kim Geku asked, "Is that the ego inside the sword?" A voice answered him that it was waiting here for its master. Kimika said that he is not his master, but he really wants to be. Sword said that in that case, he should be given a name. Our hero said he would call him L. Kimiku stood with his sword in his hand, and it was much clearer to him now. The guy looked up and saw sand falling from the ceiling and cracks appearing at the top. Lu shouted for the master to run away. Ella yelled the same thing. Kim ducked his head and said that he knew everything. Lu asked El, "What's he like?" El asked the same question. Kim Geku, trying to leave this room, told the two to shut up immediately. Kimiku saw Talon's body and thought to move to the reward room. The floor shook and began to move out from under his feet. Kim Geku increased his movement speed to avoid falling into the dungeon. The boy made a desperate leap, trying to reach the portal. He was interested in the bounty room. The continuous gate has disappeared. This was unprecedented. The reason was unknown. The occurrence of unusual gates and mysterious occurrences caused great controversy. Our hero was beyond suspicion as they disappeared sometime after he left there. The young man received a reward for passing. 30 purple crystals and a guardian amulet. It was a valuable item that even ordinary people could use to prevent minor illnesses and increase vitality. Even though it won't cure our hero's mom, it will help financially, and he can worry less about paying for treatment if he sells the crystals. Also, the protagonist started climbing the tower again. He had certainly heard of the Citadel's development since there were no monsters on the test floor, but there was a whole city on the 5th floor. Kim Geek traversed the 5th floor, where he was found unconscious. The protagonist traversed the 6th floor efficiently, fighting monsters. On the 7th floor, it was the same picture. Our hero was fighting all sorts of evil alone. On the 8th floor, the level of monster training was much higher, but the players who came here were also more experienced. It was time for Kimiku to reach the 9th floor. Not so long ago, our hero couldn't even dream about it. Now he had 2 unique swords, Lu and El. Siaku said that the levels weren't really that important. If the young man didn't give up, he would definitely be able to unleash his unique ability someday. Our hero has noticed that L's level has increased very decently. Thanks to the fusion, it feels like he has become stronger. Perhaps it was also because our hero had a sealed demon with him. However, this sword in which it had been sealed for a long time had lost all its power. Maybe that giant I was the demon. Now, the protagonist has realized that the stronger the ego, the stronger he is. The protagonist has now realized that the stronger the ego, the stronger he is. Item auction. At the auction, the next lot was sold for 170 million. Our hero mentally asked the ego if he felt anything. Lu replied that he felt nothing. Ella gave the same answer. Kim thought it looked logical. It wasn't something that could be seen very often. The last item in the auction was presented. The main item in today's auction was a wound bracelet. This is the very thing that dramatically increases your recovery speed. The protagonist didn't realize that the auction was so challenging. 2 expensive items are represented there. It was comforting that Kim Chu's paralyzing dagger was able to sell for almost 100 million. Smiling, the protagonist thought to kiss Lu and El. Swords thought the protagonist had lost his mind. Our hero called home and said he was on his way up. Kim-gu admitted to his sister over the phone that he was having a hard time finding a team. He had recently been to the gate and the players gave him a headache more than the monsters. He had to listen to his sister's admonishment that he shouldn't go to the gate anymore because it was dangerous. Kim GQ explained to his sister that he couldn't get a player level, so it was difficult to strategize alone. In any case, without equipment, he is only a first level. Kim Geek remarked that he didn't mind advancing in the tower, but Lu needed blood, and the advancement there was too slow. Besides, there was a good income at the gate last time. Kim thought that he would do well in the future anyway. The most important thing was that he had resolved the urgent matters now. The guy looked at his bag and thought he could even buy beef. Be that as it may, our hero wanted to make money faster and move out of here so that his sister, among others, could walk on safer roads. Kim Geek saw a glowing spot ahead. Could it be the gate? The instructions in case the gate appeared stated in the first paragraph that one should not be frightened. Immediately after the gate appears, it is not dangerous. Entering a gate of unknown level is dangerous. If a player enters a gate without confirming the association, he may be sentenced to detention and a fine. Disputes may arise if there are extra witnesses before the association gate is confirmed. If the player found the gate alone, the evidence must be preserved. The head of the gate management department, Odake, received information about this gate and realized that it was near Kimgu's house. Odashik saw that the name of the applicant, the one who first discovered this gate, was Kim Gik. The department head shouted loudly. Kimiko was warned that if he did not enter the gate within 5 days, the priority right to attack could go to auction. You also have to take into account all the precautions that are not even worth repeating. Our hero was also thanked for his prompt application. Kim GQ had warned of the gate's appearance in time, and so was now dealing with organizational and bureaucratic issues with the competent authorities. Ashik arrived on the scene and said that he wanted to communicate with Kim Geek. The young man walked into the nearest cafe, and before the department head could start talking, he ordered himself a coffee with syrup. Odashik asked our protagonist Kimiko if he was going to go there himself. Was he confident in his abilities? The protagonist replied that he had become much stronger and had improved a lot. Odashik said that he knows Kimk is very stubborn and asked what floor Kimk is on right now. Kimk replied that he had just passed the 10th floor today. The department head told Kimk to prepare everything and come to him in 4 days. He wants to see where he can send the young man. Oh, D-Sick warned that if he didn't prepare well, he wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere. For days passed. There was a training room in the basement of the department, although it wasn't used for its intended purpose. Now, it was a wide space, and there was a protective layer on the walls. Kim Geek thought that he had underestimated the association before. Odik asked how Kimiko felt about the offer to join the association. Now, he can join not as an employee. Kim thanked for the offer, but declined. He explained that he did not want to commit himself yet. Kim asked what happened to Tio. When Odesic became the boss, the guide department was removed. Odik replied that it seemed like Theo had joined the Carbon Guild. This guy's facial expression even changed. It was like he was a different person now. This was the first time our hero had heard of such a guild. Kimmy wondered why Odik didn't bring a weapon since he wanted to train. The department head replied that Kim had underestimated him. After all, he doesn't only work in the office. Odesic took a fighting stance and said that he was still good. Don't look down on a top ranker. Odesic suggested that Kimmy Q should attack him. Our hero knew he couldn't beat the department head and said he still had a lot to learn. However, he was not going to stand aside either. With swords in hand, Kim Giku went up against Odik, who fought skillfully with his bare hands. The department head asked if Kimiku had definitely prepared properly. Our hero thought that top rankers were really different. Odeshik told Kim Giku to pull himself together. If he gets distracted outside the gate, he'll die immediately. Kim thought that his opponent was right. He was too arrogant in this fight. However, he didn't come empty-handed either. 4 days earlier at the in-game item market on Dondaman, Lu wondered to his host why he needed the item. There's probably no better equipment than what they have here. Our hero told someone on the phone that his protective gear was too weak. Kim Geek added that he can't go on sweeps with that gear anymore. L told the host that if an ego shows up, he will let him know. Kim walked past a display case that had armor in it. However, the price of this armor surprised our hero. Lu and L were also surprised by this price. Kim GQ thought that cheap was too bad in armor and good was too expensive. L and Lu turned their host's attention to a boy standing in the corner. A child was telling someone that his grandfather was a great master. The interlocutor was surprised that such a great outfit doesn't even bring up information about the subject. The boy said that his grandfather really makes good equipment. The interviewee wondered what was the point of advertising a store that didn't even have any trade. Kim Geku approached the boy and called out to him. He asked the child to take him to his grandfather's house. Kim Geku told the boy that he was interested in the products his grandfather made in his shop. Kim Geku, following the boy, went to the shop. Lu and L told their master that he was doing exactly as he should. There was no doubt about that. Lu said that even this kid's clothes are all ego. El confirmed that he has the power of ego in him. The boy opened the door and told the grandfather that he had brought a visitor. The grandfather grumbled. He told MSU not to bring anyone here. MSU replied that he wanted everyone to know how awesome his grandfather was. The grandfather said that the boy has a lot of nice clothes. Why is he wearing his clothes? If his father finds out, he will punish him. Once inside the shop, our hero thought it smelled like some pretty good items. El stated that all that is here is ego. Lu noticed that all of these are only half egos with no ego of their own. The old man bluntly told the visitor that there were no items suitable for him, so he should leave. The young man wouldn't understand their value anyway, and he doesn't want to sell them. The old man added that he was tired of dealing with people who had shrouds over their eyes. That old man was Hang Di Chul the blacksmith. The blacksmith waved his hand at our hero and remarked that he wasn't selling anything. People like this guy don't even know how to use his items. Kim Giku asked if he could use it. Then would the blacksmith sell it? Huang Ko replied that he doesn't want to waste time. The young man can look around here and leave. Our hero approached the weapon and said that it was a nameless sword. It possessed level 79. The old man didn't let the young man finish and excitedly asked, "Does the guy really see the abilities of this sword?" Kimiko confirmed this assumption and asked the blacksmith if he could see these abilities. The blacksmith allowed the young man to try to use the weapon as long as he understood its value. After all, that is the greatest wish of any blacksmith. The protagonist picked up the nameless sword and said that its name was now the point. Our hero put the sword back in its place. L.A. told his master that the sword didn't seem to like that name. In the guild's training room, our hero fought an unarmed department head with swords in hand. The opponent said he could see the hesitation at the tip of the ball. Was necessary to use force and aim for vital organs. Odisik asked, did Kimk really think he could scratch him like that? Kim thought that his opponent was a former top ranker, so he should focus. Odisik easily dodged his opponent's attack. Our hero's sword slipped past him. Kim Giku, swinging his swords, tried to strike his opponent, but all was unsuccessful. Odashik was evading the young man's attacks. Kimiko wondered why there was no connection. Is it really the ego? Lu said that these items are second-rate. Also, the ego is very friendly in the host's choice. He and Elle had no other choice, but the host shouldn't think that's the case with everyone. Kimmy Q thought he should give it another try. Lu told the man to give it up. Kim-gu leaned his hand on his armor and said his name was Brunhart. The system reported that communication with the Brunhart had been established. Kim-gu said happily that he had succeeded. Brunhart can reflect accumulated damage. Reflecting another attack, the protagonist flew far back and was deactivated. Odashik threw the vials of liquid in front of the young man and told him to drink this potion for internal injuries. Kim Geku wondered with surprise, why such an expensive liquid in such a bottle? D6 said that Kim Geek had passed. He didn't think the guy would actually manage to scratch him. The department had assumed that this was not an accident, but an elaborate plan. He underestimated this young man. Odish asked, what were those items? Kim replied that they were his items. If the gate is not cleared within 1 week from today, the association will send agents to the gate. The head of the department wished him luck with the cleanup. Odashik said he's giving 5 days, not a week. If Kim Guy doesn't come out after that period, he'll go in there himself and get the young man out without any agents. Kim Gecko replied that it would not be necessary. Odisik remarked that it would be cheaper than paying the association staff anyway. Continuing on, our hero, the department head, wondered if the guy had brought everything with him. Lu wondered why the supervisor was so concerned. After all, the level was similar to the one where the zombies were. It's not like it's a very dangerous place. Kimika thought that Odai was really worried about him a lot. Kimika stepped through the portal and disappeared behind it. Odashik waved his hand after him. Kimiku entered the gate. The guy hoped it would be a continuous gate. Lu wondered what good would that do. Kim Geek replied that there was more money to be made in that case. Lu asked again how the host would realize that the gate is continuous. Kimiku stated that it should be cleaned up first. Kim noticed that it's frank here. Unless it's an uncomplicated type of tower, dungeon, or maze, then you can get through everything quickly. Kim gave a staggering blow to the first monster that appeared here. Glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, and the aggressive monster wolves came out from there. Kim Geek didn't even flinch as he had unique swords in his hands. Kimika decided it was time to level up. Our hero fearlessly entered the battle with the wolf pack, wielding his swords left and right. Lu absorbed the blood of the blue wolf. There was an increase in L's level. Brunart was reflecting the accumulated damage. After destroying the wolf pack, our hero decided to rest for a while. Lu and L asked in surprise, is it really too hard for a human? Kim Geek stated that it had been about 5 hours. Kim thought that these monsters were not much different from orcs, probably because of the frank Deciding to have a little snack and gather his strength, Kim Gik thought that it was hard to get here alone in his situation. This time he was just lucky. Our hero decided that he needed a player level. The player's level is measured without any equipment. If the ego is within a certain distance, he has level 1. Why can't he get a normal grade? Oh, Dike can't help you with that. I'll notice that if the host developed their abilities, they would be able to establish communication at any distance. Kim Ji couldn't even imagine how one could develop his skills. Lu uttered, "Ego holder," and the young man immediately slapped the ring on his finger. Kim Giku added that Lu was about to get it. Lu replied that the host had already hit him. Our hero wasn't clear on the development yet, but he didn't realize it yet either. He had to activate the status window. Kimiko familiarized himself with the skill cannibalism, but it's the same as eating your own kind. Lu wondered, has the man lost his mind? Kimk replied that he was joking. Kimk thought that he had rested enough, and now he should head onward. The backpack was already full of crystals. The protagonist decided that it was time to buy a backpack with space expansion magic. Kim Geku noticed the reinforcement potions in his backpack. He thought that if he drank the potions, it would give him some extra space. Lu said he felt the strongest aura in that gate. That's probably where the boss is. That's why our hero drank the potions. Kim Geku moved forward, but the boss was still not on his way. The young man thought that the potion might run out soon. El said that he could feel a strong energy nearby. Lu added that they were almost there. Kim saw a light ahead and thought that Lu seemed to be right. They were almost there. Kim Gik told El and Lu to keep their voices down. Lu noticed that no one could hear them anyway. Lu and El had been figuring out for a while who treats the master better. When leaving the cave, our hero saw a huge wolf napping nearby. It felt as if he had absorbed half of the gate's power. It was different from the Talon, which the protagonist had attacked many times. This predator possessed an incomparable dignity. It was Guardian Brother. He rose to his paws and glared with his demonic eyes, his fangs bared. Lu said that this guardian was impressive. El warned the host to use caution. Kimik thought that the pressure now was very different from the pressure that Talon was exerting. This was a real monster boss. The monster pounced on our hero, but Kimiku was able to put his sword forward and block the monster's attack. Kim Jiku, swinging his sword, began to deliver staggering blows to the aggressive monster boss. Kimika thought that this monster's attacks are stronger than they appear. The only thing left is to accumulate damage. It was a protracted battle with a difficult opponent. Yet, Kimiku felt like a pro at this. As a result of this confrontation, the monster had been activated and was lying nearby. Kimgu felt 10 years older because of the fatigue. The reinforcement potions were running out. If it wasn't for the Brunhart, it would have been tough. Talon was no match for this monster. Kimk thanked the monster for ultimately dying at his hands. The system has reported that the player has destroyed the Chongyong Gate boss. Experience points will be awarded for this. Lu absorbs Chongyong's blood. The cannibalism skill was activated. The system reported that Lu had absorbed Chongyong. Chongyong was successfully transformed into an ego. Lu stated that he had not heard of monsters being transformed into egos before. El noticed that he hadn't heard that before either. Probably this option appeared after the next update. El apologized to his host for not being able to help him. Lu became indignant. Why is Master only scolding me? Kim Geku inweited. Is it really El's ego that Lu has now? Lu replied that he had no ego. Kimmy Q was surprised again. After all, El had no such skills. After checking the information, our hero realized that he now has the ego. But how to use it? Maybe it is necessary to pump the name of the skill. The young man decided that he would try it later. But he checked how useful the skill cannibalism is. Kim Giku was satisfied that he had obtained the blue crystal, which was more valuable than the purple crystal. Now he had to go to the reward room. Suddenly, our hero began to turn his head in different directions. Lu and El wondered what had happened to the master. In order to get to the bounty room, you need to touch the gate bodyguard. However, Chanyong and LT, Unk and GT's body was completely absorbed by Lu. Lu was indignant. Why is the master only picking on him? Inside the gate where the sun never sets, an intensified search began. On the second day, Lu wondered, is it really necessary to look for him? Only time will be wasted. It will lead to losses. On the contrary, El suggested going out and asking for help. Kimiku said that he can't do that because if there are any oddities like that time at the Gurit, everyone will start to suspect him. What happens if he gets out of here but can't find any way? In such a case, there will be a gate tearing which can harm people. Whoever is to blame will be held accountable. So this situation must be resolved by any means necessary. El admired his master's sense of responsibility. Lu noticed that he always had to clean up after himself. Kimiko pointed out that Odik would be coming in 4 days, so the worst-case scenario could be avoided. Although it's better to solve the problem before he arrives. The third day came, and the protagonist scoured all the corners but found nothing. The young man thought it might be better to destroy all the other monsters. Ella agreed that might be a good option. Lou remarked that it was too simple a solution, but it sounded good. All the caves that had been purposely skipped before were traversed, and the remaining blue wolves were destroyed. The fifth day had arrived. Our hero stood in front of the last destroyed monster. Kimiko asked what to do now. Kimiko began to think about trashing the cave. Lou and Ella anxiously told the master that all the energy inside the gate was gathering in one place. Kim excitedly asked, "Where is this place?" Elle and Lou answered in one voice that it was where the gatekeeper was in that field. Odik remarked that if Kim had come out a few hours later, they would have had to go bail him out. Kim admitted that he was on edge. The department head asked why Kim was out so late. After all, with his abilities, it could have been done in 2 days. Kim Geek admitted that he destroyed the Guardian on the first day. But then there was a small problem. Odak inquired, what kind of problem could arise after destroying the boss? Kim Giku replied that the boss's body had disappeared and he couldn't enter the reward room. The department had inquired about the young man's actions. Kim replied that he destroyed all the remaining monsters. Odashik now realized why the guy had so many crystals. Kim continued that when he caught the last one, all the energy inside the gate began to gather in the boss room. The sight our hero saw was unlike anything he had seen before. It seemed as if pieces of the world were piling up in one place. The system reported that the player was receiving ego fragments. The surprised department head asked what it all meant. Kim Geek suggested that the gate was the ego. D6 said that he would transfer the payment for the crystals and gate cleaning to Kim GQ's account. It'll add up to about 50 million. You can make the transfer in cryptocurrency at the exchange rate at the time of the transfer. On the way out of the building, the department head asked if Kim Giku was going to the hospital. Our hero confirmed that he had to visit his mother. Odashik pointed to a car and said he would drop Kim Gecko off at the hospital. Kim Gecko wondered, why is the color of the car pink? Odashik remarked that it was a color for a real man. Odashik stayed by the bedside of our hero's mother and told the guy to buy his sister a drink to wake her up. The woman thanked Odashik for taking care of her son. The department head smiled and said that on the contrary, Kim Gu was helping a lot. Kim wondered why his sister was so sleepy. She just had dinner recently. Kim said that she fell asleep for a while recently. She has exams coming up, so she needs to study again. The guy told his sister not to overdo it, as you can lose your health that way. Yu Young said that in that case, her brother could buy her a guardian amulet. An old woman came across the young people and asked our hero if he was Yu Young and LT, Unk and GT, as older brother. The old lady assumed that Yu Young is so well-mannered because of her older brother. The woman took the young man's hands and said that he had a very good aura. Grandma apologized for interrupting their walk. Yu Young said goodnight and said they would see each other tomorrow. In parting, the woman said that several energies collided in the sky. He should be careful not to lose himself. The old woman wished to overcome all the difficulties and went about her business. Kim Geek stood there pondering. He had absolutely no idea what all this meant. Kim GQ looked at the rings on his hand and thought that maybe this old lady knew something. The next day came. Stretching. Our hero thought he had had a good night's sleep. Compared to the damp cave, this was a real hotel. A doctor appeared in the room and asked the young people, are they related to patient Lee Soo-jin? Kimiko confirmed this assumption and asked what was the matter. The doctor replied that he wanted to occupy some of their time. A certain number of players had gathered near the gate. One of the players said that the 3 days were over. Now we could go home. The young men saw our hero and said he was the one who destroyed Tutorial. However, from Kim Geku's expression, it was clear that it was best not to touch him. But what's happening to him? At the hospital, the doctor told the young men that their mother's condition was critical. Outwardly, it was not so noticeable, but the muscles were badly damaged. There are also some pretty serious complications. It looks like she was cared for, but still came here too late. Kim Geek felt as if he was standing in front of 2 huge monsters. The doctor said there was another problem, the cause of which is unknown. The doctor added, all he could say was that she had about a year left, at worst about 3 months. Kim GQ was very aggressive after a message from the hospital that shocked him. The monsters that came his way felt it very quickly. Kim thought it was all because of him. If only he hadn't hesitated to cover himself with his family. If only he had gathered courage a little earlier. If only he had gained strength a little faster, things would have been different with his mother. Lou said his master's gone crazy, lost his mind. Does he really want to die? Doesn't a man know that at times like this, he should control himself? Elle noticed that the host's mother is in a very bad state. It is understandable that he suffers because of this tower 19th floor, a coniferous old growth forest. The squad saw a lone player laden down with luggage. How many backpacks did he have? Had he been collecting crystals for several years. Someone noticed that this was the man who had hunted like a madman for 2 weeks straight without leaving the tower. During that time, he went from the 11th floor to the 19th floor. One of the players offered to help this man, as his load looked heavy. The players looked around and wondered, where did these people come from on the 19th floor? Representatives of the Red Players Order, the Smurfs Guild, have appeared. A representative of the Smurfs Guild approached the tired player and said he would help carry his load. Kim quickly pulled out his sword, Lu, and placed it on his opponent's shoulder. The representative of the Smurf Guild was frightened. The young man tried to be indignant, but our hero told him to shut up. Kim Geku said for this guy to step aside and not to covet other people's things. There was anger and bitterness in our hero's eyes. Someone asked, "What's going on here?" It was a representative of the association. He was quickly heading towards the conflicting people. The representatives of the Smurfs Guild decided to run off into the woods and said they remembered this guy. A representative of the association came closer and asked our hero what was wrong. The young man showed his ID card. It was the representative of the Players Association, the 19th floor security guard, Ho-sun Hune. He asked for action. Kimiko said it seems like the red players tried to steal his stuff. The guard asked the interviewer if by any chance he was Kim. The tired protagonist inquired what was wrong. What was he wanted for? Ashik said that the guard who brought Kim Gik here should be given a double bonus at this place. The department head said that Kim had spent 2 weeks in the tower. There was no word from him. Naturally, everyone was worried. Kim wondered, is that a reason to pull him out of the tower? O.D. Sik said that was not the only reason. O.D. Sik said that there was a way to cure his mother. There is a method that can cure a disease that has no known cause. Kim GQ has to guess what that method is. There is a panacea elixir that can cure any disease. O.D. Sik added that there are only 3 cases where the elixir has been found. Mark Alonzo, who was the first to pass the 50th floor of the tower after it appeared, received this elixir as a reward for passing the challenge. The other 2 came out as a reward for mopping up the gate. Odik said that Kim Jiku is quite knowledgeable. Our hero replied that he had studied the matter many times. The department head added that in that case, Kim Geek himself knows what those gates have in common. In general, it is a labyrinth gate. These gates are characterized by the presence of monsters of different levels arranged around the maze, a strong guardian, and various traps. They are classified as an autoful gate, so anyone who is confident in their abilities can try themselves there. Ashik said that the 3rd labyrinth gate appeared in the U.S. 2 days ago. Odishik told his interlocutor that he should wash up and then head out. If Miss Su Jean saw him like that, she would be scared. The head of the department added that you don't have to worry about the crystals. You can leave them here. He will count everything, record it, and transfer the money to the specified details or cryptocurrency wallet. After talking to Kimk, the department head thought he wanted to smoke even though he had already given up that activity. Kimk met with the 19th floor security guard, Mr. Ho Sung-hun again. Ho-sun Sung-hun remarks that if he wants a bonus for locating Kim Gik in the tower, the boss told him that he has to be responsible until the end. So, he escorts the player right up to the gate. The boss took care of the arrangements for Kim Geek's stay in the U.S. and prepared all the necessary things. Ho-sun Hune offered to go right away and added that the player should follow him. 20th floor base. The system reported that the player passed the exam. The skill fusion is increased. The level of this skill is also increased. Kimji thought that adding a level was a definite rarity. He could already feel that there was a lot more energy than there was before. Ho Sung-hun said that it usually takes about 24 hours to clear the 20th floor. The young man added that he was surprised. It had only been 20 minutes, and Kimk had already returned. Kimk asked what time his plane was leaving. Ho-hun replied that they would not take the plane. They would go to the 5th floor, a giant tower of enormous size. Due to the separation of zones, it is rare to see players from other countries. But the fact that the tower is connected to all parts of the planet is a fact. Kimiko wondered, why does the elevator work in the tower without electricity? The companion said it's a type of artifact that runs on crystals. You could say the whole building is an artifact. So important is this place. The attendant said they had arrived at the location. It was the control center of the transition portal between the countries. Kim Giku didn't think that he would ever use such a portal. He had only heard that the associations of different tame countries were operating it. Ho-hun noticed that department head Odashik was much more capable than people thought of him. Our hero approached the portal leading to North America. Ho-hun offered to take a ride on the fastest transportation in the world. Our hero remarked that it looked like fun. Kim Giku thought, can this even be called transportation? USA Los Angeles. Kimiku found himself in this part of the planet. 3 top anchors have expressed their willingness to participate in the gate capture. The American Iron Shield, the European Athena, and the Korean Demon King. The The third was the Korean Demon King. Kim Geku thought, would he be able to cope when such players are involved? The place where our hero was brought was called the Hell of this world. There was a third gate here, the Labyrinth of Jerian. A man nearby looked at our hero and identified him as a Korean he was seeing for the first time. The man with glasses said that this guy's stats are at 0. Level 1. Unique abilities seem to be there, but you can't see them. Kim GQ thought at that moment that he didn't speak English at all. The woman said, this is the first time this has happened to her. She can't see a person's unique abilities. She added that on the face of it, this guy is her type. It gets even interesting. Kimu fought a huge monster spider. Kim Gyuj said that now it was time for Mr. Sun Han to attack. Our hero's companion put his spear forward and rushed forward to attack. The man's spear stabbed into the huge monster's head. Kimki remarked that it was a good job. The player inquired, is Hozung Hun supposed to leave already? The guard nodded. 15 hours had already passed, and it would take time to get back, so it was better to go now. Kim Geku thanked the attendant for everything. Thanks to this person, our hero was able to settle in quickly. Ho-hun said that Kim Gek has an amazing growth rate. The young men said goodbye and wished each other good luck. Kim Giku made a mark and decided that this place was done as well. Limitless spray paint is used to mark the path inside the gate. It's been a week since Mr. Sun Hun left. Now our hero was able to destroy the 3 giant spiders without much trouble. However, the fact that Kim Geku is fighting the same monsters shows stagnation. The protagonist realized that stronger monsters should appear closer to the boss room. Kim Geku had a ball of thread in his hand. He didn't know what it was before. Sun Hun explained at the time that it was an item that allowed one to be transported immediately to the gate entrance. It's an arachne thread. It was a gift from the head of the department. Oteishik, he said it should be used to escape from very strong monsters. Don't feel sorry for this thread. Life is the most precious thing in the world. Kim Giku didn't intend to use this thread until he obtained the Panacea elixir. Something caught our hero's attention. Suspicious sounds were coming from the forest. Kimji said that he could hear a little girl's voice. Lu said it was very strange and advised the host not to go there. Kim Geku said, if it is a trap, it is not unreasonable to check it. Traps are set to be checked. Ignoring it may result in greater danger later. Elle said there was logic in that. There was indeed a girl in the woods who was screaming loudly and calling for help. Kimiko saw a girl tied to a tree. She was begging for someone to rescue her. The protagonist thought this was strange. What was such a young girl doing in the gate area? She reminded him of his sister, Yu Young. Although it might be a trap, like a hallucination or mimicry, our hero suddenly remembered the sea devil who trapped small fish. Thinking hard, the boy decided it would be best to pretend he hadn't seen her. There were too many oddities here. Lu noticed that he favored such a decision. The girl apologized to her mother for not being able to find money for treatment. Lu noticed that the owner was trying to pick up on it. Even a child wouldn't fall for that. Kimji couldn't help himself, drew his sword, and ran up to the girl and freed her by cutting the ropes. The girl thanked and explained that she had mistakenly split up with her team. The girl's name was Young Soo Young. Her unique ability was skill enhancement. Even a 10-year-old child can become a player if he or she develops the right skills. Although it is not easy for adults to join the team. However, there are not so many reinforcement skill owners, so it is worth it. Had she really been brought to such a dangerous place? Kim handed the girl a box and said it was a kit for setting up a safety zone. It has a small level, so they don't work for more than a day, but it would help her. Young Soo Young asked if her uncle could take her with him. Kim Ji replied that she herself knows that players have to be responsible for their own lives. There's nothing else he can do to help. Soo Young asked once more and said that she could be a good helper and could be helpful. The girl added that she is a recent player and her level is low. She simply said that she had a unique ability. Soo Young added that she was promised a lot of money if she went with them. Kimiko remarked that his goal was to clear the gate and he would not be returning. Our hero added that it would be very dangerous. He is ready to share the reward, but he will not be able to give the elixir. Kimiko realized that he had no choice and said that if Soo Young was in his way, he would put her on another team. It's not like he's her guardian. Kimu thought it was much easier to hunt with an assistant. It's not because of his sick mother or Yu Young. A new monster has appeared. A giant ant with huge claws. Kim shouted for Soo Young to activate the reinforcement. Our hero's legs poured with strength, and he felt the tension building. Kimiko made a dash forward and stood up to deliver multiple sword strikes to his opponent as he approached. The system reported that Lu was absorbing the blood of the poison ant. The poison resistance increasing. It had been 2 weeks since Soo Jong had joined our hero. He immediately felt that hunting had become much easier. Soo Young said that her level had increased again. Kimmy congratulated the girl on that. Soo Jong smiled and said that she would be able to catch up with him very soon. Kimmy expressed doubt. Kim Gik said to the girl to be quiet. He sensed something. The boy cautiously approached the fence. Looking out from behind cover, our hero saw many people. It was a large guild that was led by an American top Iron Shield ranker. This was the Iron Shield Guild. Kim Gecko thought that if it was a top ranker, surely he must have sensed his presence. If these people think he's secretly following them, they might attack him. We have to get out of here quickly. Suddenly, something huge slammed into the ground near our hero. A column of dust rose up. When the dust cleared, Kim Geek saw a huge weapon sticking out of the ground in front of him. Iron Shield looked in the direction he threw the weapon. The aide inquired why the guild master launched the Callan. Iron Shield thought he might have gotten the wrong person. There was no one else near the Callan. Kimiku and Su Young managed to run away and hide in the cave. The girl wondered why they ran away. After all, they had done nothing wrong. Kim Gik replied that if they had met under normal circumstances, there would have been nothing wrong, but now they look like spies. There is a danger of a surprise attack, so such a thing is forbidden between players. However, such surprise attacks were rare, although large guilds had many enemies. Kim Geek held out water to the girl and told her to drink it. Su Jong asked, "What are they going to do now? Should they run as far away as possible?" Kim replied that they won't.